Hello guys, J77 back again with another news vlog. This will be pretty much the new norm. Couple of stories every other day, right throughout the fall season. I'm gonna start off with something that's going on in Texas. This is no surprise. It has been picking up some steam of late, especially the person who is behind this, and that is soon to be ex-governor Rick Perry. Rick Perry has been indicted in corruption charges, and this article, according to Katie Couric, is the name of the person. I'm not too sure if that's the same news journalist on television, but this is what it says here. For a politician facing felony counts, Texas Governor Rick Perry certainly looks cheerful in his mugshot. On Tuesday, on August the 19th, he appeared at the Austin courthouse to answer charges of abuse of power and court citations. After being booked and fingerprinted, he headed to a local burger joint for some ice cream cone and tweeted a photo. So basically, he's not taking this very seriously, but we'll get to that in a second. It all started back in April when the Texas district attorney named Rosemary Lundberg was arrested for driving while intoxicated. Perry wanted her to resign from her post as head of the public integrity unit and threatened to veto $7.5 million in funding to the office if she refused. Lundberg stayed put, and Perry made good on his promise. Keep that in mind of what I just said here. We're going to continue. Now a legal battle has begun. The governor said this week, this action I took was not only lawful and legal, but right. But Texas Democrats claim it's more complicated than that. To find out more of what can possibly happen next. Alright, so basically they're saying watch the video. I'll say this with this. I'm gonna do a follow-up video on this after I watch this video. I'm actually was hoping to avoid watching this video because, frankly, the video is not of good quality, and not in terms of visual, but it actually freezes a lot. So, and it tends to mess up everything else I want to do. But apparently, this is nothing new. This is pretty much similar to what happened with the New Jersey governor, Chris Christie, in a situation where his coonies, and that's what I'm calling them, actually purposely did a bridge stoppage, which could have ended disastrous if they haven't reopened it. But apparently, he never got indicted. There was actually no evidence, so they say that that linked them to it. Here, I'm kind of curious of how far and what he have done, and if he did in fact pull back money, was that actually illegal or not. Keep in mind something, and I'll say with this in terms of Rick Perry. Rick Perry's been governor of Texas for a very, 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 very long time. This guy have constantly won re-election. Whether you think he won it fairly or not is really up for Texas to decide. I can't really say what how their voting process was, but keep in mind he has been their governor for quite some time and has been pretty much a face of a lot of situations, more so than this. So the question remains is this is the only thing he has done, which I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna make a follow-up video on this, and if so, why is this not being brought up, and why, and how much weight do they have, and how much proof do they have if they are looking to actually convict him? Because this is a very serious charge, even though Rick Perry's walking around laughing it up, just basically tweeting his pictures. This is a felony charge, and if there is evidence of that can convict him, he can face serious time. So this is not something that shouldn't be glossed over with a chuckle and a laugh. He's facing a very serious situation where if he is convicted, it can not only forget about ruining his career, his freedom could be taken away. But this is, again, it all depends on what evidence do they actually have, and whether or not if he did break any laws. So what he said, he didn't break any laws, and people say he did. It really all depends how much political propaganda is involved, how much who has to gain or lose by him actually being, indicted or having his reputation ruined, having more stuff come out, and most importantly, what evidence really is there to back up that this was more of a political stunt and abuse of power than anything. So I will leave it at that, and I will let you guys decide for yourself. Leave it in the comment section. I'd like to know what you guys feel about this. But again, this is no surprising news to me, especially when I heard about it. I said, really, this is, he's been indicted. What have he done? And when they said abuse of power, the news haven't really went into specific. They just said abuse of power. They mentioned 2 days later about the Attorney General. They mentioned 2 days later about other stuff, but they didn't really go into specific. It was almost like they're handling it with kid gloves. So be mindful that you're not going to get everything in one shot. It's probably going to be a little bit filtered down each time, and then after a while, you pretty much will guess for sure whether or not this is actually true or actually not true. But again, I'll leave a link to the story. You guys can check it out. Until next time, J77 saying take care. Be safe. I'll talk to you soon. Alright, I decided to watch the video and decided to put both the video I had made as well as the follow-up video as one, because pretty much the video was short. First off, it was a Katie Couric story. It's the same person, and it pretty much went into more details that the article did not. And my initial feeling is mixed. First of all, the woman in question that Rick Perry wanted to resign was an idiot. There was video confirmation said he was driving while impaired, and this is the woman who was in charge of a very strong agency, and yet she put life at risk by driving while intoxicated. It was a very strong video with audio basically saying you're going to put me in jail with my career, even though technically she was doing this to herself. This led, of course, to Perry to basically try to get her to resign. She refused, and as a result, he has vetoed a large sum of money toward agency, basically crippling the agency. Now, one may say that he was in the right, and in many ways, I can see his point on the situation where a person who was in power, in that particular case, should held to a higher standard. With that being said, she didn't want to resign. She didn't refuse to resign. There's nothing written in stone saying that she had to resign, so she stayed on. And the question about pulling the funds is definitely at the heart of the tension, because there's a lot of other stuff that which Perry's name is involved with, and the person who he wanted to replace. Keep in mind, the person who is in charge of this agency is a Dem. Who Perry wanted to replace was the GOP. So there's a lot of political propaganda, political posturing going on between the situation. Plus, hearing further information about this, there is a question of whether or not he will see his day in court. Like I said, the charges that has been brought on him could pretty much put him in jail for the rest of his life. According to reports and stuff I looked up, this doesn't carry a 5-year sentence. This doesn't even carry a 10-year sentence. It doesn't carry a 20-year sentence. It carries a 109-year sentence. So you better believe that even though he is laughing, I'd be more concerned about making sure I have the right attorneys dealing with the situation. Because if he comes in there too cocky, too arrogant, he can actually end up in jail. This has happened with some of the other politicians that I have recently or in the past reported about because of this situation. So it is a very, very serious thing. However, you have to wonder whether or not this will also hurt the Democrats in many ways, as well as the Republicans, because a lot of things can come out there. You know there's going to be a rally cry for both parties. You know they're going to try and push the issue about corruption. And you're also going to ask yourself, is this prosecutor overzealous and looking to make a name for himself, as well as both parties looking to use this come midterm elections, gentlemen, is a very, very, very serious thing in this country. It could determine where this country will be going forward or backwards within the next 2 years, no matter who has the most power here. This is a very important thing that's going to happen, and especially since Rick Perry is looking to run. Make no mistake about it, he's looking to become the next president in 2016. This could be either a boost for him or a huge collapse for him, depending on your own view and depending on how much the people, forget outside of Texas, the people outside of Texas. I'm sorry, forget about the people inside Texas. It's the people outside of Texas he needs to convince, and that's the whole thing. He may got a majority of Texans in his side, and that's fine. But outside of that, that's a whole different story. And he's going to have to convince a lot of people that he's a fair man. He's not abuse. He's not going to abuse the power, especially in the highest office. And those are the people who he needs to really convince. And from that right now, to what I've seen in his last run, don't necessarily trust the guy. So I'm being real. Does that mean he had changed? Does that mean that he may actually do a great job as president? But for what I'm seeing right now, there's a lot of shady stuff going on, especially when you see this report. I'm not gonna go any further on that. I'll leave a link so you guys can take a look at it. It's very interesting on how this thing goes on. But I will say this, and I do agree with Katie Couric on this one. When you see how Rick Perry is, responding to this, it doesn't look like a guy who is taking this very seriously. And to me, he better take it very seriously because, again, even though he feels he's done nothing wrong, if he is convicted, and we don't know if this will ever see the light of day or not, but if it goes to trial, and if he's convicted, he is facing a life sentence, and that is not a laughing matter. That's not something you want to go out with kid gloves, and that's all I'm thinking. I'm hoping that he understands that. Until then, I'll keep following the story. If any new updates comes up, I'll bring it up. And until then, this is J77 saying take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. So long.